First at 5 and new at 5, it made national headlines when a New Orleans cop ordered the murder of a mother of 3.
Now this update for you at 6, nearly 17 years in the making. A hitman hired by a former New Orleans police officer to kill a woman was sentenced to life in prison. Back in 1994, former NOPD officer Lynn Davis hired Hardy to kill Kim Groves.
Many people still remember the shocking murder for hire that led to the shooting death of Kim Groves, a Ninth Ward mother of 3, who a day before she was executed by a hitman ordered by New Orleans police officer Lynn Davis.
Jasmine Groves knows firsthand. 18 years ago today, her mother was the victim of a shocking murder for hire orchestrated by New Orleans police officer Lynn Davis.
Alright, look, this one right here ain't just another story from the streets. It's the kind of story that show you what happened when the system meant to protect you turn around and murder you in cold blood. Kim Groves wasn't no gangster. She got caught up in the game. She was a mother from the lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans, just trying to live her life. But speaking truth in the wrong place at the wrong time, that's what got her killed. Kim was born and raised in New Orleans, coming up in the lower 9. That part of the city don't need no intro. It's poverty, pain, and pressure wrapped up in broken streets and boarded up houses. Now, in 1994, she living in a world where 12 supposed to keep things safe. But the NOPD at the time, man, they were more corrupt than the criminals they claimed they was fighting. And at the center of it all, Officer Lynn Davis. Lynn RoboCop Davis, aka the desired terrorist, was a straight up monster with a badge. He ran the streets like it was his block, took bribes, beat people down, and ran protection for dealers, all while wearing that uniform. They say he kept it clean on paper, but in the streets, whole different story. October 13, 1994, Kim Groves did something that most wouldn't. He witnessed Lynn Davis beating a young man on her block. Kim was tired of his shit, and this time she ain't looked the other way. Kim filed a complaint with Internal Affairs. That move right there, that sealed her fate. The day Kim reported Lynn Davis was the day before her daughter Jasmine's 13th birthday. About 3:30 p.m., Kim called the office to file a complaint. It usually took like 24 to 72 hours for an officer to be notified of a complaint made against him. In typical corrupt NOPD fashion, then David was notified within hours of Kim filing the complaint. That right there was some snaked out shit. By the time she made it home that night, the hit to take her life was already set. The whole city knew Lynn Davis was hacking dudes up, extorting, jacking for dope, basically running plays in the trenches. And as soon as Lynn heard about the complaint, dude lost it. Dude didn't even try to hide it. He straight up told another cop on the force, Sammy Williams, that he wanted her gone, not arrested, not scared off, dead. And Williams, he ain't say no. He made the call to a known hitman from the CP3, aka Calio Projects, Paul Hardy, another street soldier who was down for the dirt. So now the hit was in motion. Then Davis passed the word, Sammy Williams made the connect, and Paul Hardy picked up the job. Ain't no hesitation. This wasn't no heat of the moment thing. This was planned, executed, and carried out like it was just another day on the block. Only difference, a cop made the call. October 14th, just one day after Kim filed that complaint, Paul Hardy pulled up on the block. It was nighttime, just past 10 p.m. Kim was standing outside, right there in the hood, probably thinking about nothing more than making it to the next day. The wild part is, she ain't know she was marked. Paul Hardy hopped out the whip, walked up, squeezed the trigger, and ended her life right there on the spot. One shot to the head, no words, no mercy, just silence anybody on the asphalt pavement of New Orleans. It's no secret that Kim Groves was murdered for going with her move on that boy Lynn Davis, one of the most corrupt cops in the city. And the coolest part, Lynn and them thought they got away with it. Lynn was caught on a wiretap just minutes later, bragging about it, laughing, saying it was beautiful, like her life meant nothing, like she wasn't a mother, like she wasn't a human. But what Lynn ain't know, that same wiretap he was flexing on, it was part of a Fed operation that was already watching him for all the dirty shit he'd been doing in the streets. That wire, yeah, it caught everything, every word, from the plot to the hit to the aftermath. They caught that boy down bad. It ain't take long for the feds to move. That wire had it all: names, voices, the setup, and the celebration. They snatched them dicks up faster than a yellow cab driving through the Desire. Len Davis, Paul Hardy, and Sammy Williams, all in one swoop. The city was in shock. But the streets, they already knew what time it was. The city been saying the cops was dirty, but now the proof was on tape. Then Davis, that boy got hit with the death penalty, convicted of orchestrating the murder of Kim Groves. That's some cold-blooded shit he pulled off. Paul Hardy got life, and Williams did too. Whole operation shut down like the Kmart in Gentilly.
Now this update for you at 6, nearly 17 years in the making. A hitman hired by a former New Orleans police officer to kill a woman was sentenced to life in prison. 44-year-old Paul Hardy avoided the death penalty after a judge ruled Hardy was mentally retarded. Back in 1994, former NOPD officer Len Davis hired Hardy to kill Kim Groves after Groves filed a brutality complaint against Davis. Kim Groves' 2 children addressed the court before today's sentencing. Len Davis, by the way, is currently appealing a death sentence.
This whole shit is wild. Decades later, when people thought justice had stood tall, news dropped that ain't sit right with nobody in the city. Right before Sleepy Joe Biden left the White House, he commuted the life sentence of Len Davis, a man convicted of using his badge to put a hit out on a black mother who was smiling and joking about it after. No warning, no real explanation, just paperwork and the signature from a man who didn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground. Just like that, Len Davis' death sentence was off the table. Kim Groves ain't no symbol. She was a real person, a mother, a sister, a daughter, gone, because she had the courage to speak up on crooked cop Len Davis, the man infamously known as RoboCop. Her death left a hole in her family, shook her hood, and lit a fire that's still burning to this day. After her murder, the streets started looking at the NOPD different. Although 12 was never trusted, the disdain toward them was 1,000 times worse. For most, the murder of Kim had confirmed their thoughts. They knew one thing: it was no longer rumor, there was proof. Proof that speaking out on 12 could get you killed, not by some corner boy, but by the ones with a badge and a pistol. The very people who were supposed to protect and serve. Ain't no streets named after Kim, ain't no statue, no government holiday, but her name still lives on in the 9, whispered in the streets. Her story will forever be talked about by generations yet to come. Kim's kids grew up without their mom, but the truth of what happened to her never got buried. Even years later, people still asking how a man like Len Davis got a second chance, while Kim Groves never even got to see her kids grow up. That wasn't just a political move, it was a scar, one that reminds everybody just how far the system will bend for the ones on the inside, while the ones on the outside keep getting buried. Kim ain't dying in vain though. Her story became part of the record, part of the reason people still pushing for justice, for change, for real accountability. Kim's death wasn't just another headline. She's a reminder of the mean, grimy streets of the NO and its long history of crooked cops and corrupt politicians. So here we are, 31 years later, and Kim Groves' name still echoes through the streets of New Orleans, not just as a victim, but as a symbol of what happens when corrupt cops fail a city. Her murder whipped through the lower ninth ward like Hurricane Katrina, destroying everything in its path. Her story shows us the ugly face of police corruption that still exists to this day. It's not just about one bad apple, it's a whole rotten barrel. And the worst part is the people who are supposed to protect the city who end up being the predators. Kim didn't ask for this fight. She was just trying to stand up for the dudes in her hood. Instead, she got silenced in the most brutal way possible.
First at 5 and new at 5, it made national headlines when a New Orleans cop ordered the murder of a mother of 3 for coming forward to report police misconduct. To mark the 20-year anniversary of Kim Groves' death, the Office of the Independent Police Monitor is now calling on the NOPD to review its current retaliation policy and procedures in a new report.
Reporter Andy Cunningham is live with us right now with more on what's in the report that was released this afternoon. Andy.
The report is 25 pages long, Camille, and lays out some changes the police monitor's office believes should be made to the department's retaliation policy. They claim in this report still needs some work. Many people still remember the shocking murder for hire that led to the shooting death of Kim Groves, a 9th Ward mother of 3, who a day before she was executed by a hitman ordered by New Orleans police officer Len Davis, reported Davis and his partner for police brutality. In this report, released Friday, 20 years to the month following the 32-year-old's death, the Independent Police Monitor is requesting the NOPD take a good hard look at its current retaliation policy and procedures.
The way to stop retaliation is to not be afraid of it and to speak out. Once you speak out, I can do something about it. If I don't hear about it, there's not too much I can do.
Independent Police Monitor Susan Hudson said the perception that employees and civilians do not report misconduct out of fear or retaliation creates public distrust of the department. In her office's report, they break down the allegations into 2 categories: retaliation against NOPD employees and retaliation against members of the community. From 2011 to 2013, they received 26 reports of retaliation inside the NOPD and 63 reports of retaliation or fear of retaliation from the public.
And now, while the NOPD is revising all of its policies and procedures, now's the time to get on this retaliation policy and make changes.
And this isn't something the NOPD is shying away from. The Monitor's office acknowledged today they are working closely with the department and its new chief, Michael Harrison, in an effort to come up with better ways to address and prevent retaliation. Scott?
Andy, thanks. And this coming Monday, the NOPD is expected to join the police monitor's office at a public forum inside City Council chambers to discuss the policy, and a police spokesperson says they will use the feedback from the community when putting together the new policy.